If no one has heard of the Ash of War Swift Step, be glad that you're now watching and hearing about this, because this is the best Ash of War in the game, hands down. If you can imagine Bloodhound Step before it got nerfed, and you give it an attack, that's what this Ash of War is. For those of you who don't know, this is an exclusive Ash of War to the backhand blades, and you'll be getting this near the end of the game. I'm not going to spoil it, but it is a part of a quest line. So this Ash of War makes you dash forward, and as you dash forward, you become invincible, you become intangible because you're actually invisible, and you reappear and you do a slash which has a hitbox, and behind you, you leave a bunch of slashes that also have hitboxes and do a good amount of damage. You can also charge this Ash of War as well, so it will go further and do even more damage, and you can spam this pretty much freely. This has no downside, it has very quick startup. What's even better is that you can infuse this with anything, including bleed and cold, two of the best infusions that I've found for the backhand blades. But while it's in this unnerfed state, if you need to get rune arcs, I think this is the best way to go about it. To be honest, you could use any build on this and it would do just fine, but I would recommend using some type of status ailment on it so that it procs, because you will be attacking very frequently. But for your mixed physic, which is the most important part, on your mixed physic, give yourself the one that gives you the infinite stamina and the infinite FP. That makes everything of what I just said just go haywire. It takes this build and just puts it on another echelon that it really can't be contested. The main problem with it is, even if you attack into it and you know a person is doing it, one, they are invincible for a period of time, so you have to time it to where you actually get the trade. And two, because the hitbox comes out so fast, a lot of times you'll lose the trade anyway because they hit you multiple times, both with the actual slash and the after mirage slashes on some anime timing. Like, I'm not playing an anime, I'm playing Elden Ring. Why am I facing against this? The one good thing I will say about this build, or weapon, Ash of War, is that it is really good to clear out toxic ganks. For example, the ones that have the great shield fingerprint builds, you can just cleave through them effortlessly because this will hit behind shields and it hits multiple times, and you're also moving, so they can't even shield poke you. It's a very great counter in the current state that it's in. Not promoting people should use it, but I mean, honestly, if more people use it and From Software hears about this quicker, then we can get this patched out or adjusted so that we don't have to face this and the game, say for example, gets no more patches and this gets untouched. That would actually be unbearable, and I don't know if I would play this game anymore. I'm just being real, because the only counter I've honestly seen is using Zamor Ice Storm. That can kind of slow people down because they will be getting hit by the ice chip damage. Even if they're intangible, they're going to reappear and get hit by it. So that's the only way I've really found on how to counter this, but again, that's only on intelligence builds. The rest of the builds just have to suffer and get slashed to death and minced like mincemeat, and they and then they just blow up. Like, what is this? My only recommendation on how to tune this down is if you make the FP cost higher, then at least people can't spam it as freely as they do. Granted, in invasions they can use the mixed physic and they can use the infinite FP and still go about their business, but at least that only lasts for 20 seconds, so there's some damage control in that aspect. And also raise the stamina cost, because with those two changes, that would at least alleviate the problem of people unlocking and just spamming and trying to read your roll, because they don't really have to do much besides watch how much FP and stamina they have. But with this change, at least that wouldn't happen for too long. Another thing, decrease the distance that this goes and possibly the startup time, because in the current state it's in, it's just way too quick. Just look on screen. I'm doing nothing but pressing L2 and looking at where they're rolling. I don't really have to think much. And there's so many different ways to boost this damage output, like with the Godfrey icon, which boosts your charged skills by 15%, and the Great Jar Shard, which also boosts it by 15%. So already you're doing 30% more damage just by using the skill fully charged. And there are more things like Rakasha's armor set, which will give you even more damage, and you can quickly see why this Ash of War is a problem. Now, even if you do PvE only, one, hi, welcome to the channel, but two, even if you do PvE only, this is still, it's not as much of an issue there because it's PvE, so no one's going to tell you how to play the game. But I could see a world where phantoms will only run this and handicap themselves by not knowing how to really help you in the boss fight because they're only doing this skill, which could actually hurt the host or whoever's trying to beat the world because they're not having a reliable phantom. So I feel like this would benefit everyone if they just nerfed it outright, but if they didn't want to do that, at least nerf it in PvP, because in the current state it's in, this has been the only thing I've fought in arena duels for the past 5 days. Once the bigger content creators make a video on this, every single person who doesn't make builds often is just gonna migrate to this and try it out and populate the duel area and make it insufferable to play online. I've literally been playing against Shisui Uchiha. Like, stop body flickering. You're not like that. You're really not. The worst part about this is if they don't fix this soon, this is gonna make Elden Ring go back into L2 Ring. This has been a meme for a reason, that a lot of Elden Ring's combat just boils down to pressing the Ash of War button and watching the damage numbers rise very quickly. Because this game, you don't really need to press the attack button too much unless you're, say, using a dual katana build, but at that point, you're either using Moonveil or the Unsheathed Ash of War. So this is just bringing us back to a time that we've tried to evolve from so long ago of just pressing Ash of War and win button. And this is all of that. This is every problem of that in one weapon. And unfortunately, it does not stop there, because you would think, well, okay, well, maybe I can roll away from this or try to roll out of the combo. Well, unfortunately for you, viewer, this is actually faster than a person running, and this is also faster than a roll. So even if a person decided to run away, which is the fastest option to get away outside of Ashes of War, you can't even do that. And you can't even spam Bloodhound Step because they nerfed that. So now if you try to spam it, eventually Swift Step will catch up to you and it will start to pack you up and you get into the blender. So there's not a lot of ways to counteract this skill, which is, again, please look over this, FromSoft. You made a mistake. I know this happened with Bloodhound Step, and I know it's kind of hard to imagine that things that make you dash forward and make you go invincible can possibly be overtuned or broken. But I understand this is an indie studio, so we hopefully have to give them time and just make exposure videos like these so that they can address these, because I do want this game to thrive and I love the DLC so far. But I really hope that they address this soon, because if they don't, you can see, just like what's happening on screen, that this will be pretty much every invasion that will happen from here on out, and probably every co-op experience too, which I would imagine people who are playing PvE don't want to see the same summon use the same weapon across different people that they meet. But with that, I appreciate you guys watching the video. I'm making a build video very soon. It's going to be very unique, so subscribe and stay tuned for that. If you're not subscribed, you're trolling. Take care, be good, love and light.